thank you for taking the time for this interview, by the way. I'm very tired because last night I went out, so I'm fully
Yeah, me too.
So I apologize if I look kind of
Yeah, same. I came home at 4 a.m. last night.
Till 4, what did you do last night?
I had this exhibition at Canal with a bunch of other artists.
Nice.
And yeah, it was actually really nice. Everyone was really kind. I loved everyone who came by.
Beautiful. And so you showed your pieces there?
Yeah, I had like a couple pieces up there. I had a new piece up there. It was like my first like 3D model type piece.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Interesting. What do you mean by 3D model type piece? Like you actually sculpted it?
So I had this canvas and I pretty much just started gluing a bunch of stuff into it, like fabric. I glued junk from like years ago onto that. Buttons, just tin foil, like everything that I could find. I just like kind of made it into this thing.
Very cool. And how was that experience doing that for the first time?
There actually.
Yeah.
Like on a more personal note, it was like due to the fact of this dude, he kind of like broke my heart for a minute. But you know, I had to step back up, couldn't let that slow me down. So I just kind of created art after like yelling at him on the phone. And that's kind of like how the piece was birthed.
I like that. So is that something that you do often, kind of use situations in your life and emotions to kind of portray that onto art and pieces?
Oh yeah, like for sure. Like I think that's how I'm alive. Like today, like it's really like how I've been able to express myself.
Beautiful. And is it easy for you to do that?
It is something that's more natural for me to do. I don't think about it much when I'm drawing. It just like is kind of like a free flow for myself. More of an introvert. I'm not really like a talkative person. I do enjoy talking to people, but I do find it hard to like verbalize like certain emotions in me. So that's usually when I would resort to like just canvas. Like that's it. It's in my head. I don't know how the fuck to say it out loud. Or I would talk to people, but it's just more comfortable for me to keep it to myself.
I see. And do you think it's like, do you think that message is understandable to like the person that sees your piece?
Yeah, like I found that some people are able to like read my work, sort of like, you know how people read like cards and like, yeah, they kind of read it like that on like a more, I guess, like psychic level. I know my first memory that usually comes up is my dad. He was an artist too, actually. He still is. He's always like done art, and he's definitely been like my first inspiration like as an artist. Yeah, like he did like watercolors, and I was just like, wow, like that looked really cool for like a little girl.
Yeah, I can imagine. And so does your art resemble to your dad's at all, or is it very different?
Honestly, it kind of does. Like the older I've gotten, I've noticed that it like in some ways it kind of does. Like it has like a little abstract like look to it. Some of his work, like I wish I had some, but I should post it actually. Like yeah,
that'd be cool.
Right?
Yeah. And so that's your first memory, kind of your dad being in the art world, and you kind of wanted to venture in it yourself. But how easy was it to actually do that and like start?
Oh, holy fuck. It's hard. Like like on a real note, like it's not like a 1, 2, 3. It's a self-reflection. It's persistence. It's enjoyable, so enjoyable, so fulfilling. So like it's beautiful, really. But there's been a lot of like vulnerable moments. I've had to really step out of my shell. Before I even like put out my work, I was someone who really suffered from social anxiety and still does. Like the social aspect of putting yourself out there is like a huge part too. You have to be like attractive to people. You have to be able to like learn how to talk to people. And that's just like something that I'm like learning right now.
And I appreciate you doing this, because I can imagine this can be pretty hard, you know, talking to a complete stranger on Zoom.
Yeah, a little bit. I was like, oh shit. But you know, I want to do it though.
And I saw that you have this one piece, which I think is fucking amazing, by the way, but that you've been working on for 4 years.
Oh, that one. Oh my God, I love that one.
So how does one work on a piece for that long, and like how is that process?
Let me see. So how I remember starting that piece, like realizing that I haven't created a big piece. So I went to Michael's. I was like, let me get this. I'm pretty sure there was like a good sale too.
Yeah.
I was like, why else would I have gotten a big canvas? Those shits are like $200.
Oh, crazy.
But oh my list. But anyway, later on I started to realize that I had a very like structured mind where I'd be creating pieces trying to finish them quickly. And it started to disturb the process a little bit because it was like, how am I gonna like quickly finish a piece? Like, what if there's like still more in me that wants to be expressed, but it's just gonna take more time? And that was like more of like a learning experience that I was trying to teach myself
Hmm.
to just take your time with your pieces. Like you don't know like where it can go in 5 years, you know? Like what if this piece wants to do like something and like I'm restricting it because I'm trying to finish it like in a month just to like
Hmm.
show like is it really that deep, you know?
I see. And so, was there ever a moment during these 4 years that you thought the piece was finished?
No. Not yet. Not yet.
Okay, so just and how was it for you to see the evolution of that piece from like year one to year four?
Oh, it was weird. Like I wish I had pictures of it, honestly, but underneath all of like what I've recently posted, there's another like 5 other worlds in there
I
with
love,
different colors, everything.
I love that. And so it's kind of living. The piece is living. It's kind of having a life
Hmm.
itself. Where like
Yeah, I feel that. Yeah.
you do a lot of psychedelics.
Um, Not in the typical sense where I'd be taking heroic doses and like tripping to like trip, but I try to be more intentional with it, and I mostly just take small amounts. I don't use acid anymore. I just usually trip off mushrooms.
Okay.
I start with meditation. Well, I like if it's not like in the moment, which sometimes it is, but I tend to like aim to start with a meditation, and through that I kind of like, honestly, I don't really know. Like I was gonna say, but honestly, I don't know. Like it usually comes out, the intention comes out when I already start tripping. Because usually my mind just starts to focus like on something
Mm-hmm.
and it's like something really like strong. And then I just kind of gravitate and start doing it. And that's when I realized like where my intention should be rather than like knowing like initially.
I
Initially.
see.
Well, when I first started tripping, I honestly thought it was gonna be like weed. Like no one told me this was this was how acid was. So I tried it. I was like kind of young. I was like 17,
Mhm.
18. So at that time I kind of like I was really different. I was a lot more closed off, and since then it's just opened me up to love,
Mhm.
and it's changed the way like I present my work even.
Mhm.
I see it as something that's more like heart centered, and like those substances have been able have helped me been have helped me see that for myself
Mhm.
and help me see like what potential like art has for our community and like how it's here as a healing experience more than anything.
Mhm. Okay, no, and I asked that question because I always tend to, since I've been interviewing artists and creative people, they're always, I mean, some of them, not all of them, but the majority
Mhm.
tend to have tried psychedelics and always have a very fascinating experience with it because
Mhm.
it does open, I don't know. I mean, and I've done psychedelics myself, so like I do kind of have an experience in regards to like
Mhm.
how I think that it does open up your mind to some extent, like on things that you didn't think were there. Like I started loving nature way more when I did
Right.
psychedelics because
Right.
it
Same.
felt more alive, more real than
Mhm.
the material stuff that was there. So that's why I was interested in that experience.
Yeah.
Um, when you say it opens the heart center, what do you mean?
Yeah, I would say it is related to like the heart chakra. Um, I think that we like initially since like kids we were like constantly being shut down to love, constantly being shut down to what love really is. Like our definitions of love like change so much and it's so fucked up. I think that's why we end up in such bad relationships because like we start to think that this is love and this is like what we need to like. I
So you
think.
said you came out of a bad relationship. Was it a really long relationship? And if you don't want to talk about it, please tell me. I'll shut up.
Oh, okay, no, let's not talk about it. Not
Okay.
here.
But anyway, I was mostly wanted to talk about like not the relationship itself, but like the post
Mm,
relationship, the post like
mm,
finishing that and kind of telling yourself, okay, this is over. I have to start again, and
mm,
how it's hard to kind of when you spend so much time with an individual, kind of to have to start that
mm,
again. And I was wondering in relation to art,
mm.
how that helped you.
Okay, I hear you.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah. So, yo, oh my God, yeah, I actually like this question. So I've had like a couple like breakups like that where I really just went down in the dumps. Like that's it. Like I thought that was it for a minute.
Hmm.
And I think in those moments I've I've been like at a really low point. So like naturally like I just inclined to like I had to do something with it. Like I felt like this pain was too good just to like not do anything. Like I had to make art. Like that's my job, you know.
No, I
Like
like
if I'm this sad right now, like what am I gonna do? Like fucking like stay in my bed. Like I could do that for a couple days, but after a while, like I could make some good ass art with this. Like might as well like make some profit off you
that.
know.
I like that. And so, do you sell your pieces?
Yeah, I sell my pieces. I mostly do clothing right now. Like I'm not too crazy about like selling pieces. I'm trying to like venture out into like more fashion,
Hmm.
but that is like still something that I aim for and like I'm focused on.
I love your makeup, by the way, and I wanted to
Mm.
know where's your inspiration for the makeup that you have.
Mm.
Like,
Um,
creative.
I don't remember why. Oh, I actually do remember. I started doing like dots in high school, and since then I kind of just evolved from that. I just started drawing more on my face. I was like, what's really stopping me from just like drawing on my face every day? And I kind of just do it every day now. Like every time I go out,
I
and
like
yeah,
that. I like.
there's not much meaning to it. I think like I just prefer to look this way when I go
Uh-huh.
outside.
See, now I'm trying to come up with a good question, but when I'm gonna come up like this one that I'm gonna say is probably very deep, and it probably takes like 2,000 years for someone to actually give a good answer to it. But like, what do you think? What do you think we're here for? Like us humans, why do we roam this planet and do the things that we do? And you can take your time.
Okay. Okay, okay, let me see. I was actually kind of thinking about this earlier today. I feel like a lot of us have like very natural abilities when we're born. I think a lot of us are really smart and
Hmm.
like we can think about a lot of things very easily. Like for example, I'm not someone who's really that good at math or
Hmm.
anything much anything logical really. I'm mostly creative. So when like someone else is like good at math, like it always surprises me. And
Hmm.
it's always like, how do you just do that like so easily?
Uh-huh.
And I think that's kind of like where our purpose can lie in some cases, like when we're able to use our natural abilities and it makes us happy. I think that's like our
Mhm.
somewhat of like our purpose and
Mhm.
like why like we're here and yeah.
I see. So associating things that kind of come naturally to you and making them kind of like the focus in your life.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I feel that's true. I think we also ignore it too. I think we have natural abilities that we do ignore and we suppress ourselves from like happiness.
Why?
From yeah, I feel like okay, I'm gonna actually give like my own like life example.
Please.
So I started dancing from like a young age. A part of like art, I also do dance. And for a long time I did stop and it was like kind of confusing because I was like, I just kind of stopped, whatever. Um a little like earlier this year I was thinking like why did I stop dancing actually, and like dancing actually like really does make me happy, like why am I not doing it? And I kind of just dug deep into my mind for a moment and started thinking that there's like potentially like other reasons. I honestly didn't think I was that good enough, like if I'm being real with myself, like back then I thought I wasn't good enough so I stopped. And it's kind of like those like moments in our lives do change us, do like stop us from doing things, stop us from being so fucking beautiful.
Mhm.
It's like it's like the yeah. Yeah.
No, that makes sense. And it's like the reason too. Like I wasn't good enough, but good enough for whom, right? It's like, why do we
Yeah.
always have to like kind of do these things for ourselves, but have to give, we give so much
Yeah.
activity to other people. Like we give them so much importance on something where like it's
Hmm.
good for us. Like why? And I think that's a great point. And I always wonder why people give so much attention to others'
Right.
impressions.
Yeah, I feel that too.
Yeah,
Like there is a lot of like in our society, are you fucking kidding me?
yeah,
Like all we care is about impressing on some level.
yeah.
Like really, like
Absolutely.
it really is like that. So it's good to like for us to like see that and to like notice that
Hmm.
and not to like necessarily like stop doing that, but
Hmm.
to just keep it in mind, like how far am I taking this like impression for other people? And
Absolutely.
like, is it like destroying me right now?
Mhm. My question goes to like, how can we as individuals do something about it?
Right?
Hmm.
Yeah, I wonder this too. I
Yeah.
try to like in my daily life, I really try my best to try to cut that pattern between us humans. We tend to be very nasty with each other. And it's kind of like for me, I find my peace like just being like a person that I would want to meet sometimes.
Hmm.
And it's very hard to do that with like everyone. I know like we're all a little fucked up, honestly. Like
Absolutely.
there's no hiding it. Like we're fucked up. But there's like some efforts I think we make that like really change shit.
Absolutely. A lot of effort to break these habits because I think it is a habit, and especially if you're born. I mean, what I've been thinking about recently, this is something that's been really irking my brain, is because
Mm.
I know how much I relied on other people's impressions when I was young, and I didn't have
Mm.
any of the social media that kids have these days. Like
Mm.
today, I'm like, how are we gonna grow these children to fucking become these constantly, connected people that do this and want to do that and want to compare? Like,
Mm.
that to me is very scary future that we're going towards, right? Because
Mm.
it's I don't know. It seems like it's very perverse. It's all very, kind of on the wrong spectrum of like love and hate, or like, all these things.
Oh, okay, wait. Just like a clarifier, like, are you saying that like where who are like our influences are for like our children right now?
Exactly. No, I'm just saying that today children have so much more like pressure,
Oh,
so
okay,
much
okay,
more
I see what
pressure
you're
to
saying.
be like these people, or compare themselves to like other
Oh
12-year-olds.
yeah, right,
And so
right. Actually,
if it was hard for us, like how hard will it be
oh
for these
my
children to
god,
grow?
yo, it's true. There's a lot of like TikTok kids and shit. Like the kids are probably already comparing themselves to other
Yeah.
kids, like on TikTok.
Like at the age of like 8, like 8, 9, they're
Right?
beginning and
They're babies. They're still babies.
Mhm.
Even like at 15, when you think you're a grown ass bitch, you're still
Yeah,
a baby.
absolutely, absolutely. And to me, like I just know that the people doing this, first of all, like the people doing this know exactly what they're doing, in my opinion. I
Right?
can't give them the benefit of the doubt.
Oh shit, yeah.
And you have to be a cruel person to take out,
Damn,
the-
yeah. Yo,
you're taking
I
out like the
feel that.
childhood out of someone, and I think that's like, it's like taking away the innocence. It's probably one of the biggest no-nos that you can do in life, is take away someone's innocence. You know?
Damn. Yeah, it's true.
Yeah.
It does really like destroy like a certain part of someone that they have to like heal with after years. Like it's not just like them like experiencing this shit like stays in their heads and they grow with it, they live with it,
Absolutely.
and they have to eventually like hopefully they can heal from it too. Because some people don't heal ever.
Yeah. That's a good point, actually. What you say, that people don't heal, because do you think, like, the way that I tend to think about things, it's like, okay, what doesn't kill you, so really what doesn't make your heart stop moving, kind of
Mm.
can make you stronger, right?
Yeah.
Um, so maybe all these really tortured kids will grow up and become like these really enlightened beings because they went through so much pain and
Oh.
comparison that they managed to grow from it. But
Mm.
it's usually the
Yeah.
minority, right? It's not usually like the
Mm.
majority of people that tend to come out with like this transformation. So
Yeah.
I don't know.
I totally hear you.
Yeah.
That's actually a really interesting way of thinking about it, to be honest, because I haven't thought about it like that before. It's true to like put so much pain like on somebody.
Hmm.
Some people are inclined to heal from it and teach other people's like what they've learned. I think those are like healers in our society.
Hmm.
And that could be something like happening too, like on another like note. Like
Absolutely.
that's actually really interesting.
Yeah, no, you're absolutely right. And I think it's like, as I was saying before, I feel like you can't be ignorant, especially if you're the one like putting out these apps and doing marketing that goes to like 14-year-olds or whatever. Like you can't be
Mhm.
ignorant about like what that will do. But and this is just me blabbering out because
Mhm.
but I think that with those things, like the people that tend to want to do bad never have like all the puzzle, right? They think that they can, create or go this way, but then there's always like an unexpected variable. So like this random thing that they didn't take into account that eventually fucks their whole plan up. So
Ah, right.
this could be interesting.
Yeah, right. That's true too.
Having a lot of pain when you're young, it maybe matures you at a much younger age. Maybe that's what we need. We need young kids that preach good
Mhm.
stuff and promote that.
Oh my God, imagine
I'd love that.
like some little kid having like a spiritual channel.
Exactly, I swear, like sitting down and talking to people.
So fucking cute.
Yeah, I'd love that. See, I would
Right?
listen. I would listen. I'd say because
Right?
yeah,
Oh my God, like spiritual vlogs every day. Oh, Leo, is there something like that? And I'll have to like look it up.
yeah, we'll have to find it. But so, how is your experience with spirituality? What
Mhm.
is spirituality to you?
So I started off like kind of young. I was maybe 13, and I was always into like celebrity ghost story, into like ghost channels, like what is a ghost? Can I summon a ghost? Like I want to talk to a fucking ghost. Like it was like on my mind. I was like a weird kid.
Mhm.
And
It's on
when
my
I
list
found
of
a
fun.
friend, I'm sorry, what?
I know you were saying you're a weird kid. I'm like, no, no, no. There's like a lot of kids that went through exactly what.
Right, actually, yeah, that's how I started learning too. And I was like, yeah, it's nice to know like I'm not the only one who's like fucking like weird. Like in my head, I was like, is anyone else doing this? Like I don't talk to anyone. So I found a friend and she was like, oh, I want to learn about this too. So we are on a mission. We played the Ouija board. My house gets haunted for maybe like a good couple months, like the whole winter.
Wow.
And yeah. And let me think. Yeah, my house was haunted. It was actually really like traumatizing for me because at the time I didn't believe in God. I didn't believe in any higher force. I didn't know how to pray. I never prayed before. And it was to the point where I would I'd be hearing like shit in my house, like doors would close. I became really paranoid, like a little bit like mentally unstable, if I'm being real. Like that's how bad I got. I was cutting class.
Hmm.
Like it was a very like destructive
Interesting.
time in my life.
No, yeah.
And that's like out of that experience, I have learned how to pray. I have learned that there is like a higher force and the good will always like overcome any evil. Like I'm not even like put me in a room with like an evil spirit and I won't give a fuck honestly because I know that I'm not here to like compete with that spirit.
Hmm.
I know the spirit isn't even to like be like messed with,
Hmm.
and it's really just to like teach me that I'm a lot stronger than like what I think I am spiritually.
Hmm.
Like we are like really like strong as spiritual beings, and it's been something that I've come to like know in my life.
And so that's really interesting. So it started with like a Ouija board, so kind of fucking around with it. It was kind of like, oh,
Mhm.
let's fuck around with this. It can be fun.
Mm.
And you're like, oh shit,
Yeah.
like big regret. I should have done that. And so
Oh
the
yeah.
house was haunted. Wow.
Yeah, that's like that was like yeah.
And have you ever had other spiritual contacts with other beings or things or however?
Mm, um like nothing like too crazy. Like most of my like spiritual experiences happen through my dreams, which is interesting. I'm
Interesting.
not someone who like sees spirits necessarily, but I do like receive like downloads
Mm.
and like what else? Like sometimes like I'll hear stuff. Like it's a very or through meditation, like
Mhm.
I'll start like just like envisioning things or like feeling things. Like I feel like a lot. Like I can feel like
Mhm.
my when my ancestors are with me.
Mhm.
Like yeah. Like sometimes even when I'm drawing, like once like my paintbrush just like moved a little bit. And
Really
I was like, I think I should be using this one now. And it was true. Like it really did like change the piece.
interesting. Um, and so these downloads that you receive, are they always about you and your life specifically, or is it kind of like life in general?
I would say both ways.
Both.
Sometimes it just be about like a problem that I'm having. I'll like whip out like my deck and I'll like try to like conjure up something that could assist me. Or sometimes it is about like the world itself, like just us like as a whole collective.
Hmm. And so when you say you whip out your deck, is it like the tarot deck?
Yeah. Wait, let me see if I could like I feel like I have it. Yeah, I have this one, like like the regular one everyone uses. I have that, and I also have an angel deck that I use.
And
But
so,
yeah, those are the two decks I use right
so
now.
you have to excuse my ignorance on this point, but like,
Mm-hmm.
how does that work? Like, how,
Mm-hmm.
what? I'm actually so interested, but I've never had someone kind of explain it to me of how it works because yeah.
Okay, I got you. Um, it's more of it's very intuitive. It's something that that I'm building actually. So how people pick cards is really just based off their intuition. And the easier it is for you to pick a card, like the stronger your intuition is at that moment. So maybe well, personally, after a meal, I feel less intuitive. I feel like a little bit more heavy. So I tend to like not do readings rather than like first thing in the morning, I step outside. Then like my intuition is a lot clearer and I tend to pick cards that just resonate with me more and just make more sense. So I would like look at so this is how I read it personally. I would look at the picture.
Mm-hmm.
I look at it, the first thing that comes out to me, water,
Mm-hmm.
let's say. What does like, and then I kind of just keep looking at it. Next thing that pops up to me is swords. And from there I'll come up with like an intuitive reading kind of. It's a little
Interesting.
hard to explain,
No, it makes sense.
but yeah.
But so is there like a rule book for tarot reading? Is there like
Yeah. So there is like a meaning for that deck. There is a meaning for each card that you can even look up, honestly. Sometimes I feel more in tune to just like look up the meaning rather than like trying to read the card.
hmm
So it does switch. Some people just read it like that. But yeah, there is like meanings to each card though.
interesting? And so you can do your own readings. You don't have to have someone that reads for you. Like you can do your own.
No, not necessarily. Like no. I mean I don't, but
Interesting.
yeah. Sometimes I'll like reach out
And
though.
and the cards change too. Like sometimes you'll have this card and sometimes another card based on what you're going through. Right.
Yeah. Or
Interesting.
sometimes like the same card will pop up a few times, like during a certain point in my life.
Interesting. And so how often do you do these readings?
Um, Not too often, but when I feel called to, I
Oh,
would.
nice.
Mm.
Interesting. You see, that's wow. Yeah, I think that's it's part of a very like ancient knowledge. I think it's these cards and like mysticism and all these different things that
Mhm.
people don't talk about. Like that for me, that's really mind blowing. That all our ancestors went through like centuries and thousands of years of like talking to the spirits and doing all
Yeah.
sorts of things that now are considered taboo or whatever. Like
Yeah.
and we just cut it off.
Mm.
Like now we're just wake up in the morning, do your work, get paid, and like don't
Right.
don't take any of these things into account, which were like part of
Yeah.
all their lives, like at some point or another.
Right. I feel like that destroys us like on a certain level. Like
Hmm.
to suppress like all of like our like spiritual knowledge from ourselves and just like our spiritual practices. Like that's a form of like suppression that we go through. Like recently there's just been like a bit of like an expo too
Hmm.
of like people like reaching out to this like information again, and you see it on social media like all
Hmm.
the time.
Yeah.
You see like people like expressing their spiritual sides, expressing like their spiritual being like through an Instagram account or a YouTube account. and you see them like introducing like an idea that really was taboo not too long ago too.
Hmm.
Like
Hmm.
it has become more open, but we're still like in somewhat of like an in between where we're like still like trying to learn what even spirituality is. We have a lot of us have a lot of questions like this of like what it is. Like, what do you mean you can see my aura? Like, how do you see my aura? And it's just like a lot of like questions like that.
And so, you know, I read about that, that some people can see a specific color that radiates out of your body, which is like essentially the color of the aura, right?
Mm.
Have you ever met someone that had that or did that or?
Mm. Oh my God. Kind of. Like I was watching this YouTube video like really long time ago. And they were saying that like if you hold your hand like against like a white wall like that, and
Mhm.
like you kind of like focus in between your fingers, so you can see your aura color. So,
Really?
yeah. Like I don't like know too much about that to be honest. Like I think it's real, but like I did like I did that a lot. I used to see teal. So I would like Google the meaning
What
of
color
like
is
what a
teal?
teal aura is.
What color
Mhm.
is teal? Is it like orange?
It's like between green and blue. It's a little bright
Oh,
too.
okay, I
I don't
see.
know if it's here. No, it's not here.
Okay, blue. Okay, okay. I think I see what you're saying. It's kind of like a little greenish blue type of
Yeah.
thing.
Yeah.
Interesting. Yeah, no, because I thought that that's really interesting. And I read this book once. It was like this book about this like shaman, this like Moroccan guy that he went to Brazil, and he met this like tribe that had never contact with like any other person that wasn't local from like the Aboriginals in Brazil.
Ah,
And so
interesting.
he was the first person to be brought to this group, but he was like an absolute like he came from a very rich family, and his dad wanted him to work in his like company, this and that, and he was like looked at like I need to do at least like this year where like I get out of it and like experience life, and I need to get out of this whatever. And so his whole goal was to like meet
Mhm.
tribes and like document how they lived and you know the
Wow.
very ancestral stuff. And he came to
Mhm.
this one place, and he was the first like kind of like not local that entered this tribe, and he ended up staying there like 6 to 9 months. And you know, and I'm paraphrasing. I'm not exactly sure about like the dates or anything, but
Mhm.
what I learned is that this guy was they taught this guy to become a shaman because his whole idea was like holistic healings. His whole idea in life was like I want to learn how I can heal people without necessarily giving them drugs or supplements or whatever the fuck that is.
Nice. I like
And
that.
so he's like, look, these guys have been living for X amount of years. It's been longer than any other society that I know, and they're doing it well, and they can heal each other because obviously people get sick.
Mhm.
And so he met with them, and he started getting into this like training program. And so to become a shaman, what he had to learn, he had to go 1 month without seeing any light. So he had to go
What?
1 month, like he could only go out when it was like pitch black outside at dark. He could take the
What?
thing out of his eyes, and he would have no, like his eyes would have no contact with light. And the idea behind
Oh
that
my God.
is that afterwards, when the month was taken over, and he was taking like some sort of like, you know, some of the strong tobacco and all these other like kind of like psychedelics, but that were like rooted with their culture. Um,
Uh-huh.
and when he took off the thing, he started seeing colors. Like he started seeing people that radiated colors. And he could figure out like what type of individuals, and it was mostly for like healness, like the way that they taught him how to heal people. And I thought this was mind blowing. So there's like a patient that comes into like the shaman's tent or whatnot, and he says, "Yeah, I feel sick. I have pain here, whatever it is." And the shaman, what he does is like he smokes this pipe, and then like kind of gathers the smoke and like lays it out on the person, and he
Mm.
gets like hallucinations of like a specific plant or ingredient that he
Mhm.
has to look for the next day. So the idea is that he would just
Ah,
venture in the forest, and like he kind of tripped and he saw some things, and like
wow.
while he walks he sees like, oh well, that tree reminds me of something, gets closer to the tree, finds a flower, and then you know finds the specific plant in there that heals that person. And so that was the whole process.
What?
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
I was mind blowing.
What? That's so beautiful. Like that's really nice that he got to experience
Yeah,
that as like a person in this reality. Not a lot of us really
no,
do.
no,
Like that's very like almost rare.
no, it's
Wow.
extremely rare, especially because like you know I feel like you have to be a type of person to like have that patience, because most
Mhm.
people would get there and like, oh how'd you do it, how does it work, come on, explain
Mhm.
it to me. Instead you got to kind of like experience it more than getting it
Mhm.
explained. So it takes another type of patience, but I thought it was really interesting because you know why don't we do that shit, why don't we fucking find plants that heal us and do all these different things instead.
Right.
You know?
Yeah. Well, imagine like this world was really like that. Like we would be like in tune with that in part of ourselves. Like I wonder how different like everything would look here.
Yeah,
Where
no,
I really like.
you're right. It would be. But then it would be a completely different life. Like
It wouldn't. I don't even think it could be built here anymore.
Yeah.
Like.
Yeah, exactly. We wouldn't have cities. Like, why do you need cities? Why do you have to conglomerate people
Right.
like ants? Like we were living one on top of each other and working in this,
Yeah. Oh, there's like one thing that just kind of came to my head. It was art supplies. So recently I've been like buying more art supplies and just trying different things. And this is just like a little advice to like anyone who is watching. Like if you're an artist and you're having trouble maybe like finding your style or finding like what kind of art like connects to you, something that I like recently started doing was buying color pencils, buying like pastels, and seeing which medium represents my style the best. Like does painting like depict what I'm trying to do at its like highest potential, or is it actually color pencils, or maybe it's pastels? And like I think that like really opens up to like what you can present and like how you can grow even more from this.
It was a beautiful conversation with you, Erica. Thank you for taking the time. It really means.
Yeah, thank you. This was like fucking great.
Yeah, but it was great for me just as much, and I'm really excited to post this out there. Let the people know what's going on in Erica's mind.
Right. Okay, I'm excited. Oh my god.
But it was so nice to meet you, and keep doing what you do. Never stop, never back down. When you go down.
Yeah, you too. You better be making more shit.
I
You can do that.
appreciate you. Hey, thank you so much. Have a great rest of the day.
Okay. Peace, dude.
Take care. Bye bye.